As we grow older, something changes. We begin to peel back the layers of our past, the voices we grew up with, the rules we followed without questioning. For many women, one of the deepest and most personal realizations comes when they look in the mirror and realize how long they've carried shame not just for their bodies, but for their breasts, their nipples. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because society told them something else for decades. Today, we unfold a complex but powerful truth: how shame and suppression have shaped the female breast and how women, particularly as they enter middle age and beyond, are slowly reclaiming it for themselves. Let's start by acknowledging something simple. The female breast has always been more than just anatomy. It has been a symbol, a battlefield, a target, and for many women, a source of deep emotional conflict. As girls, they are taught to cover up, to hide, to be virtuous. They learn that showing too much makes them a target. Yet, at the same time, they are bombarded with images of women showing just enough to be attractive, desirable, admired. The message is clear: your breasts are either too much or not enough, and this contradiction follows many women into their adult lives, shaping the way they view their bodies and their relationship with their own sexuality. By the time a woman reaches her 50s or 60s, she has already lived through decades of mixed messages. Her breasts may have nurtured children, been part of her most intimate moments, been a source of insecurity, pride, or indifference, but they were rarely allowed to be simply what they are. In most societies, especially in Western culture, the female breast is controlled strictly, not by law, but by public opinion, by whispers, by glances, by what is considered acceptable to publish, wear, or say. And at the center of this silent control often lies a small, but extremely important part: the nipple. You see, the nipple has become a symbol of moral boundaries. A man can reveal his chest and face without consequences, but when a woman does the same, it suddenly becomes a scandal. Social media censors it, magazines cover it, public discourse avoids it completely. But what happens when something so natural becomes so forbidden over time that women begin to internalize this shame? They disconnect from their bodies not because they want to, but because they feel they must. The message is not subtle. This part of you is dangerous. This part of you must be controlled. But here is the truth: there is nothing inherently shameful about a woman's breasts. Biologically, they are natural. Emotionally, they are powerful. Psychologically, they hold layers of meaning, comfort, intimacy, vulnerability, desire. And yet, when something is continuously hidden, suppressed, or sexualized without consent, it becomes distorted. Women begin to feel that their bodies no longer belong to them, that their breasts exist only to be judged, admired, criticized, or hidden, and here is where the suppression begins to erode identity. This suppression often appears in subtle ways. A woman hesitates to wear a certain top, bends over to hide her chest, avoids looking at herself undressed, even changing under a towel in her own home. None of this has to do with clothing but with feeling disconnected, feeling as though her body is under scrutiny even when no one is watching. This is the legacy of shame. It quietly creeps in and tells women to shrink, to cover up, to be careful. And yet, despite all of this, something remarkable happens. Women, particularly in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, begin to reclaim their relationship with their own breasts, realize that just because something has been labeled taboo, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Their pleasure, comfort, and emotional connection to their bodies still matter, perhaps now more than ever. And this change is not only physical, it's psychological, emotional, and deeply personal. Reclaiming isn't about revolution. It's not about exposing everything or making a statement about what others think. The benefit isn't just about owning your body on your own terms. It might look like standing taller, wearing something that makes you feel radiant, looking at your body with appreciation rather than criticism, or it might mean rediscovering physical pleasure not with pressure, but with curiosity, asking what makes me feel good now, instead of wondering, how do I compare to someone else's standards? For many women, this journey starts with the breast touching, observing, and simply being present with this part of the body again. For some, breasts are only associated with motherhood, for others, only with sex. But now, there's room for something deeper, for a new story. A story where the female breast isn't defined by shame or suppression, but by intimacy, ownership, and quiet self-assurance. Men often don't realize the weight of this story, not because they are insensitive, but because society hasn't encouraged them to understand. But when a man listens, when he learns about the burdens women carry, the judgment, the conflict, the self-awareness, he begins to see his partner in a new light. He stops expecting performance and begins to presence. He realizes that every woman has her own map of sensitivity, emotions, and history, and that true intimacy begins with respecting the journey, not just the destination. It's also important to understand that reclaiming this part of the body doesn't always mean physical pleasure in the traditional sense. For some women, the goal isn't arousal, it's acceptance. It's being able to look at themselves without sneaking glances, resting in their own body without feeling exposed. This too is liberation. This too is sexual reclamation, because sexuality isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about how a woman feels about her own body, whether she feels safe, strong, and fully herself. And the older a woman gets, the more she deserves this peace. After a lifetime of being told how to feel, what to hide, and what is acceptable, she has earned the right to define her body on her own terms, no longer yielding to expectations, no longer shrinking herself to fit a mold. This is a time for expansion, for honesty, for softness and strength. What does this reclamation look like in everyday life? It might mean finding a bra that fits well and feels good, not because of how it looks, but because of how it feels. It could mean leaving behind the shame of the past. Maybe someone laughed, criticized, or judged your body. Maybe they told you to hide it, but that voice no longer holds power. You are the one in control now. You are the one who decides what your body means. It could also mean having conversations with a partner, a friend, or even with yourself, saying aloud, I want to feel more connected to this part of myself. Just that statement alone can shift something. It opens. Body is an act of reclaiming your power, your autonomy, and your voice. It is about no longer allowing external forces to dictate how you should feel about yourself. This process is not about perfection, nor is it about conforming to the narrow expectations of society for what it means to be a woman. It is about your liberation from those constraints, peeling back the layers of judgment and shame that have been imposed upon you, and giving yourself the freedom to exist fully and unapologetically as you are. Reclaiming your body is a journey towards acceptance, a step towards embracing your true self, your desires, your flaws, and your strengths. It is a path where every woman is invited to explore her own identity and sexuality, to define her own narrative, and to stand in the fullness of her power without fear of judgment. This is not about seeking external validation, but about building a deep, unshakable connection to yourself. If this video resonated with something inside you, something you've felt but maybe never had the words to express, I invite you to keep going, to stay on this journey. This channel is here for exactly that. We talk about female psychology, aging, intimacy, emotional truth, about things that matter, things that most people are afraid to speak aloud. But you've lived long enough to stop staying silent now. So go ahead and subscribe. Join a community that honors your experiences, your questions, and your growth. You are not alone. It is not too late. You are exactly where you need to be, and there is more healing, more understanding, and more reclamation ahead. Let's walk this path together. As we begin this journey to reclaim not just our bodies, but our very identities, it's important to recognize that the road will not always be easy. It requires patience, understanding, and a deep level of self-worth. This process is not about perfection, nor about fitting into society's narrow expectations of what it means to be a woman. It is about freeing yourself from those limitations, shedding the layers of criticism and shame that have been placed upon you, and allowing yourself the freedom to exist fully and unapologetically as you are, the moments that truly define inner change. You don't need validation from anyone else. True strength comes when you realize that self-acceptance doesn't depend on external circumstances or expectations, but on how you feel within, how you choose to see yourself with tenderness and respect. This journey of acceptance and reclamation may be filled with challenges, but it is also full of possibilities. It's about being authentic, stopping the attempt to fit into standards that don't define you, and recognizing that your beauty, strength, and worth have no limits. It's about connecting with your body not with fear, but with gratitude. Acknowledging that every change and every experience you've gone through has shaped you into who you are today. What starts as a small step in recognizing your value evolves into a journey of transformation. When you begin to enjoy the freedom to live authentically, to take care of yourself without feeling shame or guilt, then true liberation begins to unfold. This path has no end, but it is filled with discoveries and rejuvenating moments. And remember, you are not alone. We are all here to support one another. While the journey may be personal, it is also collective. When we unite our strength, we transform, grow, and evolve together. The foundation of lasting change. And never forget, there is no timeline for this journey. It's never too late. It's never too late to reclaim your body, your sense of self, and your freedom. This journey is about taking it step by step, at your own pace, knowing that every step forward is a victory. Your body is yours to define. It's not a tool for others to judge, admire, or criticize. It's the sacred vessel that holds your story, your essence, your power. And now, it's time to reclaim it.